Hi everyone, it's Lynnea for LDRS Creative, and I'm going to make an easy card today that features just a tad bit of die cutting and some layered ink blending using the new Tufted Petals product suite. Now, a product suite from LDRS Creative is a set of products that work together, and there's at least 4 coordinating products in the suite. So in this case, there's the Tufted Petals stamps, layering stencils, an embossing folder, a 3D embossing folder, and dies. I'm only going to be working with 2 of these products for today's card because I wanted to give you an example of a project that would be easy peasy, quick to make, and also flat, so it's easily mailable. So I'm going to be using the stamps and the coordinating layering stencils. I'm also going to be using the A2 diagonal stitched rectangle dies, and I'm going to use the largest 2 dies on my card. So this panel here is just a panel of white cardstock, and I've cut it with the second largest die. So it's actually going to layer onto a card front and not be the full size. I'm going to grab my Tufted Petals 6x8 stamps, and I love this stamp set because these flowers are big and bold. So you can have them be smack dab in the middle of your card, and it's going to fill that whole card front. Or you could do something like what I'm going to do today, and I'm going to hang it off the side of my card. It gives you such versatility to be able to make a variety of different looking projects with the same stamps. So I've taken the largest image, the one that's kind of a couple blooms stacked on top of each other, and I've hung that off the bottom right-hand corner of this panel. I've also grabbed a sentiment that says thankful for our friendship, and I've nestled that in so that it kind of tucks in between those 2 blooms. I prepped my cardstock panel with an anti-static powder tool. Whenever I'm doing ink blending, I like to trap the stamping that I'm doing for the base with some clear embossing powder. This ensures that nothing is going to blend or move as I'm adding ink on top of it. So I worked quickly. The Raven ink from LDRS Creative is a hybrid ink, and if you work quickly, you can sprinkle on some clear embossing powder and trap that ink onto your panel. Now I'm going to move on to doing the ink blending. And the Tufted Petal stencils have 4 stencils. And there's 2 different blooms here. So the first 2 stencils, stencils 1 and 2, they're noted in the bottom right hand corner, are for that larger, or the smaller bloom rather, up in the left hand corner. Stencil 1 is going to color the flower. Stencil 2 is going to color the leaves. Stencil 3 is what we're going to be using today, and that's going to color the leaves on this larger stacked blossom. And then stencil 4 is going to be for the leaves. So I'm starting here with stencil 1, and you can see there's a bunch of different little kind of like sections, and there's an etched line in between the sections. It's hard to see on camera, but when you get these stencils into your hands, you'll be able to see that these are sectioned off. And so the top left is going to be the first layer for the smaller flower, and then this one that's closer to the right is the second layer for the larger flower underneath. You can switch up your colors and have one flower be blue, one flower be pink. Because of the way the stencil is set up, it's really easy to do. You don't have to do any masking or anything since all the pieces are separate. But I decided to keep them just the same colors, and I have 3 colors of inks, light, medium, and dark blue. I have Swimming Hole, Marina Madness, and Bali Blue, and I'm just going to go in and add ink. Now, you're not actually stacking color on top of each other, so your colors are going to stay true to the ink color that's on the pad. So, since these colors aren't actually layering on top of each other, you could go crazy and have something like a flower that's mainly purple with maybe some yellow petals here and there. Purple and yellow usually don't mix, but because you're not actually mixing colors on top of each other, you can have a rainbow flower if you wanted to, and just kind of add whatever colors you want to. You don't have to think about making sure that certain colors don't mix together. Alright, so I've moved on to stencil 4, and I've added my 2 layers of green for the leaves. And here's my finished panel. And I'm going to kind of shift this. It's hard to see, but because of that embossing powder on there, it has just a little bit of shine, which is nice for a 1-layer card to add something to really step it up. I've taken a second white panel, and I've cut that with the largest of the A2 diagonal stitch rectangles. And I went to layer this card together white on white and something was just missing. So I went into my stash and I grabbed a piece of black cardstock and I trimmed this so that it will be just the tiniest little sliver of black around this panel. And I've kind of nestled that black in between the stitching on the largest panel. So that black measures 3 7/8 inches by 5 3/16 inches. I layered them up onto a card base and that's it. This card is done. It's nice and flat so you can pop this into the mail and send it off to your friend, and it didn't take that long to make either. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!